Good morning and welcome. It's QR5 Cyber News here on a Friday morning, as it's customary been the last couple of weeks. We've been doing our live segments from the banks of the Yarra River here in Melbourne, and we've got another session this morning. So thanks for joining us live here, and bring the comments in if you happen to be joining, and we'd love to hear from you, and make sure you like and subscribe. So today, a bit of a roundup in this big weekend Capture the Flag competitions, of course, coming up. We have next weekend, we have the Down Under CTF, which is the big one for Australia and New Zealand. It's really one of the premier events. Over 2,000 teams competed last year in Down Under CTF number 4. And of course this year, Down Under CTF number 5, DUCTF hashtag will be out and about on socials. And prize money has been announced overnight. There's up to, I think for the first prize is $3,000 for the best team. So that's really exciting. There's a range of teams and categories available for prizes across Indigenous First Nations teams from around Australia, New Zealand, Pacific Islands. There's a number of there's a high school, the best high school team. I think it's $1,500 prize for that. There's a number of other categories there. Best female team. So there's going to be a lot happening, and it's going to be a fantastic CTF. So that's on next weekend, first weekend of July. So that's really exciting. Coming up very, very soon now. So some interesting, I think I might have identified a little bit of a smoky. There's a great story coming out of a team who debuted last year at Pecan Plus, the LSC team. I'll let you work out the acronym there, but a great team from the outer regions of Melbourne. Brought a team on debut down to Pecan Plus last year on the train every day to and from, which was a really big effort from them. And Sean, big shout out to Sean at that school. He's a great teacher who coaches that team. Just an incredible job he's doing there. So I'm hopefully we're just talking to see if we can get some interviews going with that team. I'm pretty sure they'll be in Down Under CTF, but they'll certainly be fine-tuning their tradecraft before the Pecan Plus, because last year at Pecan Plus they were on debut. They brought 4 teams down on the train, LSC, and they have just in April won the Lockheed Martin International Cyber Quest. So it's a global competition, and they won the Asia Pac section. So in 8 months, it's an incredible effort. And it was the LSCB team. Now they backed that up recently in the ASCC Challenge, the Australian Schools Cyber Challenge that Cyber Pathways ran last weekend. The winning team there was King's School in Parramatta in New South Wales, so congratulations to them. But ASCC were one of the 15 Victorian schools that were competing in that ASCC challenge. So they'll be on their A game, I think, even though it was the B team that won. So I think arbitrary assignment of letters of the alphabet there. But yeah, it was the LSCB team that won. So that'll give you a little hint that there's more than one team from that school, and they're very good. And they'll be back at Pecan Plus in August 3rd, 4th. So looking forward to catching up with them and hearing a bit more about their journey over the last 12 months. So that's a really exciting thing. Team Oceania, of course, are still preparing for the International Cyber Security Championships and Conference, the IC3 as we call it, that's on in Santiago de Chile in October 28th through to the 30th in 2024. So there'll be a team of 15 cyber athletes, and their coaches and crew will be going across to that event. It's going to be absolutely brilliant. Team Oceania, of course, are very hungry to improve on last year's effort, where they came second and beat the US into third. So Anisha, the founders of this competition, the European cybersecurity organisation, have going for the three-peat. So can they do what the Brisbane Lions did in 2003 and win three back-to-back tournaments? Who knows? We'll have to wait and see on that one, but that's going to be very good. Now, I thought I'd just drill into that a little bit today, because Team Oceania, of course, and they're very passionate about this, they're very engaged in. It's not just Australia and New Zealand. It's the Pacific Islands. So, in the International Cybersecurity Championships games, there are 7 regions. So we have ANISA, which is Europe. We have Asia, which is India and the surrounding areas of East Asia. We have Canada and the United States compete as individual countries, whereas ANISA is usually made up of 10 or 11 different countries from within Europe. So Australia and New Zealand compete under Asia Pacific. We also have African continent and Latin America. So they are the 7 regions. I think I've got all 7 there that compete in this global challenge. So when we look at Team Oceania and the Oceania region, it's really important, because one of the key things, I know the team worked very hard on this, trying to reach out to the Pacific nations. There's a university, South Pacific University, I think now runs a cybersecurity cert 3 and 4. I'm not sure if they have a degree just yet, but there's a lot of activity there. And if we go back to Claire O'Neill's cybersecurity strategy for Asia, for Australia, coming up to 2030, one of the 7th shield is to have resilient and strong regions, as well as just the cybersecurity in Australia. And I think one of the key areas there is to really get behind some of the other areas of the South Pacific, like you've got Tuvalu, Niue, Cook Islands, Vanuatu, all these other great South Pacific countries. And I think under that 7th shield, there's a lot we could do to reach out and strengthen the cybersecurity skills, at that very young high school level, and bring them through into the competition for Team Oceania. So I know that that's a very key concern of the team, that they are making sure everyone gets the opportunity to participate in the selections and the trials. So it is a merit-based competition, so we as corporates and we as governments and companies need to really roll up our sleeves and get behind some of these Pacific Island nations to really make sure that they are developing their young people, and that they have the ability to compete on the world stage through these great cybersecurity competitions. So just my little soapbox there today on what we can do for stronger regions there. So for Claire O'Neill, the Cybersecurity Minister, her 7th shield, I think it's very important that we strengthen the young people in those Pacific Island nations to help them be part of Team Oceania in future, and I think that's a passion for everyone. So for those of you who were following along earlier in the week, I was, of course, over at Adelaide at the Australian Space Cyber Forum, and that has drawn to a conclusion now, and it was an absolutely fantastic event. But I do have some breaking news. You might have known this already, but play the little feed here for you. The Australian cybersecurity space. Sorry, I'll say that again. The Australian Space Cyber Conference was absolutely brilliant. It was great to be over there and catch up with all the leaders in the space, defence and cyber industries, all together under one roof for 2 days. Well, I was only there for the conference day. But yeah, breaking news. So, in cloud there's software as a service, SaaS, and there's platform as a service, and PaaS, and there's infrastructure as a service. Well, there's a new one, people, there's a new one. AWS are now carrying a service, which you might have already known this, but GSAAS. Now, GSAAS, Ground Station as a Service. So the space industry is on fire. As you know, there are so many launches planned over the next 5 years. We've got 9,500 satellites in orbit right now. There will be 100,000 satellites in orbit by 2030, in just 5 years. So Ground Station as a Service, GSAAS, is now a service offered by Amazon, AWS, so in their part of their cloud suite. So that's very interesting and sort of caught me a little bit by surprise. I didn't realise that was there, but so I learned a lot of amazing things at the conference, at the Australian Space Cyber Conference there, and I'm sure that'll be on again next year. So great shout out to CyberOps, Agora, and the other sponsors there who put all that together. Lot 14. The other thing that surprised me was how many space cyber startup or space startups there are at Lot 14, which is a real startup and innovation hub in Adelaide now that's really taking that part of the world by storm. So anyway, thanks for joining us again today for the live news coming through from Melbourne, Australia here, the cybersecurity news from QR5. So make sure you don't just like this on LinkedIn, just like it on YouTube and the channel as well to help us grow, and subscribe. That'd be absolutely brilliant. And one other thing, the big cybersecurity news has been, of course, the prevalence of InfoStealer, getting harvested credentials, from the dark web. The main protection against that is, of course, to make sure you have good multi-factor authentication. So that's a key thing that a lot of people are grappling with at the moment. So make sure you do that. So I will wrap up on that note, and thanks for joining us this morning. I've got other things to get to, so have a great week.